Welcome back to another episode of the Tuesday Panic, the show for the unprepared youth worker like you and me, sometimes. And that's what the show is all about, to help you get prepared for whatever it is it may be you're doing. Midweek meeting, Bible study, things like that. And today I want to talk about how to take movies, give you 4 tips on how to translate movies, TV shows, things like that into a teachable lesson. And because this is holiday season, there's going to be a ton of movies out there, things like Catching Fire, Ender's Game, which I just saw this week, The Hobbit, all of Thor, all these kind of great movies that are out there. And so we watch them and say, well, man, I wish I could preach on that or teach on that. And I want to just give you a few ideas on how to do that, to find the source, maybe the sources that you need to go ahead and make that into a lesson. The first thing is this: go see the movie by yourself. Just middle of the afternoon, maybe if you have time, and go see the movie and sit there with your app like Evernote or Notes or things like that. And when you hear things throughout the movie or something clicks in your mind, you're watching the movie, just write it down. When I sat there and I watched Ender's Game this past week, I just took probably 20, 30 little one-line notes. And it could be a thought or a theme or something like that that helped me, get the juices flowing of where could this, fit into. And that's the first tip there, is find out where the theme goes, right? What is the overall arching theme of the movie, right? Or maybe there's multiple themes in the movie, right? In Ender's Game, I picked up things like student leadership, war, authority, bullying. There's all kinds of various themes. So you start writing down all these themes, say, okay, where does this fit in? Where is this all kind of going to? And so as you take your notes, and write down all those various thematic, big themes that you can use there. The second thing you want to be able to use maybe is find those interesting quotes from the movie. And maybe you're not going to preach on the whole theme, but something in the movie says, man, that's an important or a powerful thought, and it kind of reminds me of this. I think of the quote where Colonel Graff in Ender's Game says, "We won, that's all that matters." And Ender basically yells back at the Colonel and says, the way we win matters. And the third thing you want to do is context, right? What is the context of the movie? What is the overall movie about? So take a movie like Catching Fire from the Hunger Games. That movie is all about young people rebelling against the system. At least that's the major theme I take from it. But it's also how rebellion spreads, how one person's actions make a difference, and how it catches on to other people. Now, for me, I'm sticking with the thought that, look, there's simple things we can do every day as believers that can catch on, that shows us rebelling against a worldly system that tells us that we ought to hate people or tells us we ought to behave in a certain way, and then our actions spread the rebellion, right? That positive, that holy rebellion that God calls us to. The fourth tip I would give you is this: is the characters of the movie. Do the characters remind you of anybody from Scripture? Does the storyline remind you of anybody from Scripture? Things like that. If you're talking about The Hobbit, you talk about taking a great journey. Maybe you want to talk about, Abraham. Maybe you want to talk about Jacob. Any of those people who had to take this roundabout type of journey and then eventually face, things like Jacob had to face Esau, or, Abraham had to rescue Lot from Sodom and Gomorrah. Whatever that is, you're looking at these characters and saying, who do they remind me of in Scripture? All right, so remember the four tips here for translating movies, TV, that kind of thing, into a message or lesson is, number one, thematics. What are the themes of it, right? Go to the movies like I did, and I just sat there and take notes. Number two, go to find the quotes that you want to find, and if they translate, maybe you just use the quote, maybe you don't even worry about the movie, but the quote itself is powerful, and you get to quote from the movie. The third thing is the context of the movie. What is the overall big picture of the movie, and does that work in a translatable way into my youth ministry? And can I tell a bigger story through the characters? Are there characters and context that kind of go together there that relate to a biblical or spiritual truth that you see within that movie? So this Friday, if you want to, sign up for my newsletter, Get It First newsletter. You can go to discipleproject.net. Sign up for that, because I am going to give a little cheat sheet for Ender's Game. And I don't know if it's necessarily the preachable thing. I am going to do a lesson on it, I believe. But I think the greater lessons are in there about how we deal with student leadership and how it worked out in the movie, and how some things we need to be wary of within our own context of raising up students to be leaders within our own youth ministry. So if you want that little cheat sheet there, sign up at thediscipleproject.net. Thank you for being with me today. Thanks for joining the Tuesday Panic, the show for the unprepared youth workers. I'm your host, Paul Turner, equipping you to make an impact on students. Thank you very much, and we will see you next time.